Now, here's your hosts, the League Dad, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair.
What's up, gamers, and welcome to another episode of the All In Podcast. I am the League Dad, and as always, I'm joined by Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair. And, before we had Kevin at a different location, and I know he just got back, and now we have Mitchell at a different location. We're going all over. This is like the traveling podcast. We're going all over the
worldwide.
States. Yeah, recording wherever we need to.
Weeks too.
Oh, Alistair's going back home, so we've just got, we're all over the place. I love it. There were play-ins, and play-ins were, I think, pretty much as expected, but I did see some surprising things. It was any kind of game is, going to give you some information and insight onto the teams, but we did pretty much get the teams that were expected to make it out, right? G2, Golden Guardians, which I was really excited for, and then BLG, of course. But before we get into that action, let me just get a brief update from you guys. A lot of stuff been happening, traveling, all that good stuff. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Came back. Maybe starting a new job. We'll see if the background check goes through. And so, fingers crossed.
What skeletons you got there, Kevin?
I mean, I've passed all the other ones, but I'm just gonna knock on wood and see how it goes. But yep. So I'm doing pretty well now.
Cool.
Personally, I've been a bit tired. Getting ready for exams coming up. So aside from that, I mean, that's kind of what my focus has been on recently. Aside from obviously league. So other than that, pretty chill. Getting used to or getting ready to go back home as well, as I mentioned. So
Nice.
Yeah, I do not miss finals weeks. Those were tough. Yeah.
No way.
I'm in Texas for one of my older cousins' weddings, and I'm seeing all my other cousins, and I have like a pack of cousins that are all in college, and they're all going through finals week too. And I'm like, yikes! Yeah, I remember those times. They're not fun. But otherwise, Texas is awesome. If you guys ever are out there, any audience members, I mean, this is an awesome place. It's really hot, but all the food is good. People are nice, so it's been a fun time here.
Right, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys are doing all right. Now let's get to some good stuff, some playing action. I think, like I said, it was pretty much expected, but for me, and maybe I'm biased because I'm an NA fan, right? But Golden Guardians, I liked how they played, right? Was it perfect? No. But did they get a game off of BLG? Yes, they did. So that's a win for me, right? We talked about that. And honestly, like the game before that, if I'm remembering it right, like they kind of threw away something, right? Or no, I'm sorry. The game that they came back and won, like they were down by a lot, right? So that win was pretty crazy. Like to see them, stay resolved and resilient and pretty much just let the Yasuo carry. Like it was pretty cool to see. But any other surprises? Because I thought PSG also played well. Obviously they lost to us, but up until that point, I thought they were pretty good. I thought they may get a game off G2. It looked like they might. But any surprises from you guys? Any thoughts that, outside of the normal results that we saw? Was there anything that stuck out to you guys? And, we can discuss that because I'd like to know, what you guys saw throughout this past week.
Yeah, for me, what was surprising was like both DFM and especially VCS Gigabyte Marines were just not good. DFM has been on the cusp, right? They made it. They're the only play-in team to make it to groups in recent memory at Worlds, and they didn't win a match.
Yeah,
they looked okay, to be honest, but they didn't win a match. That's really below par. And VCS looks like they're just potentially one of the worst teams in play-ins. That's insane to me, like conceptually, right? Not like Levi's still there, Starks or not Stark, Kita, whatever their name. There's some of the names are still there. So you're just like, why are they so bad? So that stuck out a lot.
I mean, I think it was kind of expected. I think it was a bit of a shame, at least the results were. I think it was a bit of a shame that for the most part, it was almost exclusively 2-0, 3-0. Kind of disappointing watching a lot of teams just kind of roll over. I mean, a lot of people were hyping up VCS. They got one win all tournament.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I didn't actually expect them to do that well, as I said last episode, just because we hadn't seen them very much and they didn't perform well at Worlds last time. But I would have liked to see at least more than we did. Although I mean, the results kind of does just bring up the same argument we have every international tournaments. Like, what's kind of the point? Like, we should just have minor region MSI and major region MSI because it's just Korea, China, North America, and Europe over and over again. So it feels kind of, it's like, hey, you're here for a bit of experience. Good luck with that, because they're probably already, like, I don't think they get to stay and watch the rest of the tournament in person. So
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like it's kind of, I mean, it's a common uh issue and conversation we have.
Yeah, I think it's like they're still testing out the formats and stuff, so this is the first time we got this format. It was a bit of a bummer that there was so many 2-0s and stuff, but I still appreciated it that we got the chance to like fully know, right? Because if it's just a best of one, it's like you always have that question in the back of your head of like, well, what if like PSG could have ramped up and actually taken 2 games or something?
Yeah.
Um, so it's still nice that, like that. But yeah, it is a bit of wind out of the sails when you're just watching one team just completely stomp another team. You're like, okay, yeah, I mean, we got the confirmation that they're much better, and we're just watching them get murdered. But I still have faith in the format, and I'm hoping that when we get to main stage, the format stays strong. Um, I think for the minor regions, at least it's interesting in narratives that throughout the years it shifts which minor region
It's
teams are
true.
almost on the cusp of making it past. So in the past it was a lot of VCS and the PCS region. Now it's still PSG talent, but definitely Brazil is on the up and up. Um, Loud Gaming was able to have close games against G2, which was impressive. Like G2 was absolutely turbo stomping them in the early game in their first game, and then maybe it's a bit of a product of G2 probably throwing, but Loud was very much like coming back into it and could have won that game one against G2. So I think that that is really promising for their region because, we've been hearing for a while that their viewership is higher than LCS, their engagement's higher than LCS, their fans are supportive even though they've always been like bad for years and years. So I think that for Brazil fans and for Brazil's sake that this is interesting and that if we go to international tournament later this year at Worlds and Brazil can make it into groups or make some noise, like I would love it for Brazil to have a glow up. Like this would be really awesome for League of Legends as a whole. Might
Yeah.
be a bummer for NA if they beat us, but I think for League as a whole, it would be really good for the scene.
Yeah, and I think like you said, if the popularity there, if they have these showings where look, they're right on the cusp, maybe it does draw more talent from other regions, right? Like because they do have some Korean players there. I'm not sure really about Chinese players, but if they can attract some of this young talent to go over there as opposed to coming to the LCS, right? Like yeah, that could shift it a little bit, and then we've got a real competition between North America and like the Brazilian or the Latin American leagues, and so that is something to consider. But I think there is maybe with some format tweaks or something like that, maybe it'll be a little bit better as far as like not so one sided on a lot of the games. Like there
Yeah.
were some close one ofs, right? But for the most part, it was pretty expected. But I did really quickly want to talk about what you saw as far as like the meta in there. Obviously, we saw the Nautilus mid, right? Like come out a couple of times, and I know we've discussed it a little bit in the Discord. But besides that, was there anything that you saw that maybe was surprising to you as far as what champs were pulled out? Was this pretty expected? I mean, we saw a lot of Aphelios. Jinx was out there. Still saw the Lucian Nami as Alistair predicted. But again, any
hmm
thoughts on what you saw in the meta? Any surprises or things that you like to see out there?
Mm, I think I don't necessarily think it was a surprise per se, just because so many patches have happened. But I was happy to see like Kha'Zix, which we did mention before.
Yeah.
I was happy to see just like the jungle meta wasn't 100%, Wukong, Sejuani, Vi, stuff like that, Maokai. We saw some Nidalee, we saw some Kindred, we saw a little bit of Kha'Zix. I thought Kha'Zix is a good character, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to see that diversity, and I expect it to get even crazier because apparently T1 just flew in like yesterday, and some of the other teams just flew in recently. So they don't know the meta. They don't know what exactly is optimal, so they might just be screaming whatever. So day one might be just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything that I thought was crazy about the meta itself, though I think there were some interesting things like 11 Draven bans, 0 Draven
Yeah.
picks. That was
Mm.
weird. I
Mm.
wish it had been picked because I love watching that champion. But also, I think the major surprise to me is Malphite went 0-6 and Wukong went 1-8.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, very interesting.
I mean, I don't really know what to say. I mean, that just seems. I never would have predicted that.
Yeah, I definitely think for Wukong's case, it was mostly the worst teams picking Wukong into better teams. Better teams did not seem to prio it at all. It was like the tier list was definitely like Vi, Viego, and then like kind of just a hodgepodge of random stuff. Like Golden Guardians went for Kindred and J4, or like other teams were going for Kha'Zix and Nidalee. Like it felt like, yeah, the jungle meta is not fully figured out or fleshed out. I do expect, unfortunately, when we get to main stage, that we're gonna see a lot more Maokai in Sejuani actually, because Maokai didn't get touched at all, and I think he's just still really really strong in Divai. Wukong is also notoriously strong in Divai. Um, he did get nerfed pretty handedly. I play a lot of Wukong still, and like I didn't really expect him to be that low prio or like lose that many games. Because even with his nerfs that were pretty hard, he still feels pretty OP in the jungle. So maybe we'll get some just better Wukong players, but I definitely think Vi is going to be up there. I think Viego is going to fall off, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it's good for early invades, but like jungle still feels like it's a very supportive, like engagey, like setup role still. Like Viego definitely requires like teams to play around it. And I think as we get to like better teams, they're like their bot lane is just too good, their mid laner is just too good. Like just play a supportive jungle to help those players out. And Viego is kind of selfish, right? So jungle meta is still evolving and interesting. I still think Maokai is probably insane and is just not getting played a lot because people are having fun with Nidalee and Kha'Zix and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um, it's an interesting meta. Still a lot of Zyra Khan, and obviously the Nautilus mid is weird. We talked a lot about the Discord. Overall, the meta is, I think, shifting and developing in a fun way for play-ins. I actually predict it to go into more normal stuff with like the addition of just like a Poppy thrown in there and more
Right.
Jinx Prio and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I mean, so yeah, I can see where you're going with that too. I also think like for worse teams, this isn't a slight on them really, but maybe a reason why we're seeing a lot of Viego is that I think when it comes to teams that aren't as or aren't on the same level as some of these better teams, if you can get a champion that has some kind of reset mechanic in it,
yeah,
you do kind of throw that wild card into a team fight, right? Because we saw it sometimes, like teams that were behind, they have the champion that resets, and they get like a pop off team fight. Hey, they're kind of back into it, right? So it is kind of like a coin flip. Like, yeah, we're down, but we still have this possibility of happening. And so, again, whether that translate into the better main stage games, like I don't know, but I think that's probably why we saw some of that. I also, really, I didn't used to like the Vi pick that often, back when I was seeing it in LCS, but I thought in here, and maybe even moving forward, I think it'll be pretty good with the fact that we are seeing a lot of roaming mid, right? With the Ari, with the Lissandra, with the Nautilus, like these guaranteed CC locks that they can do on top lane or bottom lane. It is extremely powerful to get them snowballed because mid lane is kind of just like, you play an Ari or a Lissandra, you're going to get your farm. It's going to be fine. But where the real impact is you being able to snowball a top laner or a bottom laner because you have more carry potential since, you have things like Olaf or, Kennen up there or whatever, Cassante, right?
yep.
And yes, we saw some Malphite, but it's not straight up tank versus tank all the time, right? Like you have some carry potential in that. So that's why I do think that Vi will continue to show presence, but I also think like what you said, like with Maokai, same kind of thing. Like he has a great stun, right? Which also can switch aggro off, right? So he's a great diver. I think those types of champs, even Sejuani, those champs that can just dive pretty easily and get snowball ahead. I think we'll see Elise as well. Same thing, same kind of thing. Because you can just layer these CCs with that mid laner who has kind of another layer of crowd control. So that's what I think we'll continue to see. I did like the Kennen top actually. And not just saying that because Licorice did pretty well with it. It had a super high presence. I don't know how often we'll see that, but I personally like it because I just think it's a nice flex if you have something like a Nautilus mid or an AD mid or whatever, and you have this AP top who has great CC. Again, that chaining of combos is just going to be super important. Any final things on meta or any pushback on that or points on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've been smurfing and gold elo for fun. Because I've been getting bored in Texas late at night, and there's
Yeah.
like 30 ping here, so it's pretty fun.
Okay.
Um,
Oh.
I played Vi, and I like win streaks like so many wins from like gold 3 all the way to like gold 1 like 70 LP. Like I think I dropped like 1 or 2 games only playing Vi, and she's so insane. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, this champion is crazy. I think one of the things that is eventually going to evolve is like Gragas E Flash and Vi Flash Q.
Hmm.
They are too low counterplay, especially on low ping and high elo environments.
Yep.
So it's like when Rakan he got nerfed and changed where you couldn't RW flash
Yep.
instantly for an instant engage. Same thing with Galio W flash with his taunt and stuff. Like they removed these like incredibly fast, like impossible to react to instant CCs,
Hmm.
and Gragas and Vi, they might just be these evergreen champions. No matter how hard
Yeah.
you nerf their numbers and kits, like their numbers gonna be so bad that you can't play them at all, or their numbers are just gonna be good enough that their flash instant CC combos that are AOE are too broken.
Right.
So I feel that for balance wise, that might be coming for Gragas and Vi. That you might have to nerf just these flash combo interactions, which is gonna be really sad because it's like very, high skill cap, high risk, high reward stuff. But it's too OP on the like in really good players' hands.
Yeah.
Like one thing that I've been able to do while smurfing in gold elo is when I'm a bit better than them, even if I fall behind, even if like something goes bad and all my teammates fall behind, I get like an AoE flash Q on Vi and I can just win a team fight by myself.
Yep.
It's pretty broken, I think. So
Yeah. And to
yeah,
top it
it's
off, like with the coordination and team play, like,
yeah.
you have something that is so hard to counter in the first place. Then you have coordination where they're just going to layer that CC on top, right? Like it's,
Yeah.
and you pair Vi with like a Lissandra or an Ari Charm or a Thresh, Nautilus Hook, whatever.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And like with the bot lane being so, powerful, especially Aphelios does so much damage. Jinx does so much damage. Their counter is that they're immobile, right? And there's but only so much peel you could have on them. And if you have 3 or 4 layers of CC to lock them down that are kind of easy to execute as far as point and click, and then you layer
Yep.
the next thing, good luck. Like what, it doesn't matter. I mean, I saw several games, I can't remember specifics, where, ADCs like Aphelios or Jinx were super fed. But who cares? In the team fight, they couldn't actually, put out the damage, the DPS that their teams needed. And once that they were down, it was kind of cleanup crew for the rest of the team. So I
Yeah.
agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like when you're playing Aphelios and Jinx, like you have to snowball and just like snowball the game. Like Xayah is definitely one of those champs that
Mm-hmm.
you can snowball, but you can also fall behind and
Yep.
still like clutch out games and win. But Aphelios and Jinx, like, oh my god, you like even if you're super ahead, like you're saying, like you just have to keep the snowball running and
Yeah.
not like get picked off because like even Elk, right? It doesn't matter how well he's positioning. He was
Right.
getting just like freaking
Yep.
4-man all
I
directions,
know.
just murdered. He's got a GA. He pops up and dies again instantly, and
Yeah.
it's like you're a
What do
Jinx,
you
bro.
do?
You can't move, and then they're
Yeah.
forced to build Gale Force and stuff,
Yep.
so their damage is even lower.
Yeah.
So I think with like you got players like Ruler, right? They're gonna position like gods, and their team's just gonna snowball like crazy. So yeah, pick Jinx.
Yeah.
But you're playing against like a good team that's like gonna have a lot of comeback mechanics. Like doesn't matter how far behind they are, they'll just one tap you. So
Yeah.
I think Xayah is going to be just too good. Like Xayah
Yeah.
Rakan is going to be an insane combo, and Xayah herself is just going to be just a very very strong pick. And
Right.
then I don't know, we should maybe see other like more mobile ADCs down there. Like Zeri is kind of taking a step back. Tristana isn't really being seen that much, but both these guys maybe should see more play when you're facing against like Vi,
Mm-hmm.
Lissandra, Gragas, all this bull crap. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how the meta develops.
I will say you won't see Tristana if Zaya's already on the board.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
matchup's not playable.
yeah. You get outranged pretty hard, I'm sure, and then you jump in, you just get feathered and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems hard.
I will say it's Mitchell's note. It's reassuring to know that even some of the best AD carries out there, there's nothing you can do against that. I was like, watching, like, there's no way he wins this, right? There's so much to lock him down, and then it was true. There was nothing
Yep.
you can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Golden Guardians, like especially, like they fell so far behind in that game too, right? But they're playing against a noble Jinx, and you can just throw everything in the kitchen sink at him, and boom, all the gold lead is gone, and yeah, you can come back and win a team fight. It's
Yep.
notable. Like Stixay was on Xayah, and he was getting turbo stomped in lane. But hey, he can peel himself and he can live,
Yeah.
so that's what mattered in the end. The gold did not matter. It was definitely the champion differences. So
Yeah. And I think just finally, like to wrap this all up as far as meta and ADC specific, like I wonder if we'll see more either changes in ADC where it is like a more of a Zaya or anybody that can self peel because there's so many layers of dive, CC, whatever it is, or and I didn't keep track of what was built and whatnot. Maybe we just see more Mikhails and stuff that can help layer on the peel because if there aren't any good ADCs like self peel ADCs or whatever, then the only other option is, well, we have to find a way to protect this dude even more, even if it's beyond the support, beyond the other champions to help them. But what other items, or and then they go cleanse or something to even layer more protection. So I
yep.
think it'll be interesting to see how teams adjust, especially with all these other champs point and click CC layering type deals, like what the response will be in the bot lane, because I think it's definitely something to watch.
We saw some attempts, like we saw Renata, we saw maybe a
Yeah.
bit of TK, we even saw
Hmm.
Morgana, right? Like teams are trying, but it's like so hard to do. It's so much
It
easier to
is.
just throw random
Yes.
crap at you and just AoE point and click versus like trying to peel
Yeah.
and like time things perfectly to avoid it.
Yeah.
So it's
as you
hard.
as
Yeah.
you would put it, to just barf your buttons is much
Yeah.
easier. Yeah, I
Well
like that
put.
style better. It's that I
Yeah.
definitely am suited to that. All right, well, let's go on then. Looking ahead, we've got the main stage now. First things I got to talk about, and this was all over Twitter, is that why the heck are the same regions in the same brackets, right? Because like if, like for example, let's just say both Korean teams win, right? And their
Mhm.
brackets, like in the second round, they would be playing each other and it would
Yep.
be a rematch of their finals. Like, let's talk about that just a second, maybe to complain or maybe to talk about why that even happened in the first place. Like, did people not realize that? Was there no other way? Because to me, that's kind of a bummer because I know that, like, I know C9 and Golden Guardians are going to win, and I just don't want to see them in the second round again. You know what I mean? I don't want to see them
Yeah.
in the winners bracket. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason why it happened was because they had to face against like the seeds, right? And this is just one of the unlucky ways that the polls could go out. Now, the longer answer to the reason is there's no restrictions, right? There should probably, now that we've had the worst case scenario, there probably should be some kind of restriction so that you have to face someone who's not your own region, right? And like maybe the regions can be like on different sides of the bracket or something, which means the poll isn't going to be interesting. But who cares, right? I don't care if the poll is randomized. I care that the best cross regional matches could happen because this was just like there are a lot of worlds this doesn't happen, and MSI just like does this for a while until this nightmare scenario happens, right? Because it happened at the first MSI with the better format, they'll know. So honestly, it's probably a good news for long term. In the short
Mm-hmm.
term, sucks. So that's what I think.
Okay.
I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, it feels kind of bad because it doesn't really feel as much like an international tournament anymore because we're not seeing all the international teams play against each other. We're watching NA versus China and then Europe versus Korea. I mean, I can understand how they like don't want, for example, they don't want to have two Chinese teams, for example, in the finals. So they want to force it to be
Mm.
two separate regions in the finals. But at the same
Yeah.
time, we kind of get this scenario where we're in right now, where it's kind of pick your poison, I guess, is how I look at it. So I don't think it's the worst, but I also don't think it's the best, and I don't know what change you would make to it because realistically, either way, we're gonna have people complain. I think. I mean, it is League of Legends and especially Reddit. Like, it's people are gonna complain no matter what. So, um, I don't know. I don't really know how to feel about it, truthfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to say because the first round of matches we get are interesting, right? We do get a lot of cross-regional play. It's just the second round is
Mm-hmm.
potential for a lot of civil wars in both the upper bracket and lower bracket. Because we're probably going to get NA versus NA. We're probably going to get EU versus EU, unfortunately, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously Korea versus Korea, LPL versus LPL. If all the uh, like quote unquote goes according to plan situations
Yeah.
happen. If it doesn't go to according to plan, then it gets pretty spicy for the
Mm-hmm.
cross regional play. Um, but then, like you said, right now we're guaranteed a finals though that is different region for different regions. So
Yeah.
it's like good beginning, good end. We just sacrificed a lot of the middle part
It's
potentially.
true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But if you do it the other way, where um, we did swap it, where like let's say BLG was switched with one of the Korean teams or something like that. Um, Early on, it would still be good. The middle would still be good, but the end results of the tournaments would still be back to probably a bunch of civil wars. So
Hmm.
honestly, it turns out the same either way you go. It's just where do you want the civil wars? So yeah, like Alistair was saying, we're just gonna complain about any format. I actually, you know what? I don't think it's that bad. I mean, we're just gonna have to deal with it. This is just how life is, right? It
Yeah.
was just last year Worlds, right? It was just Korea versus Korea for like the last section of the entire tournament, anyways, and it was still hype and it was still fun to watch. So that's just life when you have two major regions that are so much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, like again, we got double elims, so I'm happy
Yeah.
about that, right? Like it's
Mhm.
not the end all, right? Even if it's a Civil War matchup. And so I'm okay with that. And you're right, we'll complain about anything. And I do think you look at the end, it's gonna be two different regions. That's fine.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
gonna be, I think, give and take, and no matter what solution you come up with. Now, is there a perfect solution that can fix all of that? Maybe, but we just haven't found it yet. So I'm
The
I'm
the
still happy with it.
the real solution to it, like that's like obvious that everyone can see, is just NA and EU have to be better, and it can actually take
Yeah.
games off of people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because if
Exactly.
that happens, then
Subscribe.
none of these things that we're worried about are actually a
Right.
problem, right?
Exactly. Well, I don't know what
So
you're talking about. Golden Guardians is going to win. I said that earlier. I
true.
said Golden Guardians is beating JDG. No,
I
no
may have
problem there, right?
predicted them to go to the finals.
I so did too. In our Discord, if you guys aren't in the
Yeah.
Discord, you need to get in there because we're doing predictions. Thank you, Kimmer and
Yep.
Lust Life, for setting that up. But I definitely have Golden Guardians all the way to the top, and I don't care what y'all think. And that $50 gift card is mine. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's all the way. I put it all on Golden Guardians. Okay, well, let's go down the bracket. Let's just talk about these matchups, right? First one on the table, GenG versus G2. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
So historically, these guys have matched up in some iteration, whether it be Samsung or not.
Oh yeah.
GenG hasn't really been ever the most impressive org internationally. Even when they were favored last year to win Worlds, they also left in semis. So there is a chance for an upset, but honestly, I think G2, while they looked better than they were in playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't convinced. I think Yike is not good enough to like make a difference because he likes to play carry junglers, but can he really do that when the
Yeah.
laners are Chobi? Well, mostly Chobi. Doran might actually have a window. The good news for G2 is Broken Blade looked better, right? So that's a big deal. And Han Summit has looked good internationally. So uh, I don't think it's going to be that close still. I think GenG wins 3-0. There might
Mm,
be a 3-1 in the cards if they really mess up, but GenG looks much better than G2. G2 has the highest chance of an upset, but I'm not betting on even a win. So 3-0.
Okay.
oof.
I'm expecting a 3-1. I think G2 is going to pull something and win just because. And I don't have anything to do with like the players. I think just that we see the org do a bunch of random things. They pull something out and manage to take, even if it's just one game off. So I'm going to give them that benefit, but I don't think they pull an upset.
Yeah, this is where we get to the territory, right? There's no best of ones to cheese anymore, which is good, because we like
Yeah.
consistency. We want to know who the best teams and players are. But like Korea and LPL and BO5s, man, that stuff is terrifying. Like you can take games off of them, they will adapt smarter. They have bigger champion pools, they have more drafts they can play. The upside for G2 to not be so doom and gloom on them is that they can play a bunch of random stuff that I guarantee GenG is not prepared against, right?
Yeah.
GenG
Mm-hmm.
just came to Europe, like from Korea. They just arrived a couple days ago or something, or not even that long ago. So they have not been in the MSI like environment, scrimming with people. They're
Mm.
not probably that accustomed to Nautilus mid, right? They're probably just gonna ban it. They're not accustomed to like all the weird stuff G2 likes to do with their map movements and their
Yeah.
Belveth, Kha'Zix, Nidalee jungle, right? So there is variety, and they also don't play against Olaf top in Korea either, right? Olaf, like, there's a lot of stuff that's like unique to Europe that other teams have kind of been taking from them to make actually meta. So that's G2's one advantage is that they can make wacky drafts. Like GenG might not know what to do, and they're just gonna like maybe turtle up and just play safe. And
Mm-hmm.
G2 thrives in chaos. And one thing also to know is that G2's like identity has weirdly changed. Like it felt like they had insane early games and like insane snowballing so far we've seen in MSI, right? They have all these crazy early game strats and then they snowball like crazy when they have a
Yeah.
lead, where they're just knocking down tier twos like instantly. It's like barely 20 minutes, and boom, the whole map is opened up. It's just after that when they try to go for Baron, they don't know what the hell to do and they mess it up and then they fall behind, right?
Yeah.
So like that's where Gen G is obviously going to be really strong at, but um, that can be really hard to deal with, and you're playing against an uncomfortable draft. The laning phase is weird for Gen G, where they can just get rolled over and maybe get a little mental boomed. Because honestly, it does feel like Gen G. I mean, we've seen them in series just this year, where their players, the game is long, they just lose focus and they do random stuff. Like it is seared into my brain. Peanut like queuing out of the Elder Dragon pit when there's no enemy jungler, when he could have just smited it instead of leaving the pit and then
Yeah.
they lose the series, right? So it's like that is in my brain permanently, and I'm just like anything's possible, right? Like Genji's got players that do some real monkey stuff. So is it gonna be Genji favorite? Oh yeah. Is it probably gonna be like a 3-0, 3-1? Probably yes. But
Yeah.
G2, you can't count their org out. You can't count out. Could be craps or claps any day, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I'm still excited for the series, but it's probably
Okay.
gonna be like 3-1 Genji.
I mean, I'm on the same boat as 3-1 for the same reasons, right? That G2 could pull something up out of sleeve. But if it is good, if they are going to take a game, I think it's going to be game one. I think we'll see the surprise out the gate. If it doesn't work, then it's going to be 3-0. If it does work, the GenG will adjust and it'll be 3-1. So that's my only kind of addition to that. I think 3-1, but the first game, if any game, that will be G2's best chance, I think, of taking one. All right, let's go to Mad Lions and T1. How are your thoughts about this matchup? Like, do you think Mad Lions has a chance?
Okay, so to be honest, my first impression I was like, "This is Giga Doom. Like, can I vote 3-1 or something?"
Yeah.
But then I was like, "Okay, the narrative is they suck. Historically, Mad Lions suck. Not T1. Don't kill me, T1 fans." And I looked it up, and yeah, they do suck. They're the only team to ever lose in play-ins twice, right? But they avoided play-ins this time, and apparently at MSI they did go, I forgot this, but they did go to game 5 against Damwon, and I'm pretty sure they should have won that too, if I remember correctly. So it's not as weird as it would seem. I also think that Niski, I think that version of Mad Lions had humanoid. I think
Yep.
Niski is a more stable mid laner, and he is what you would need in order to survive Chovy, or not Chovy, Faker in his current state. Also, I honestly think that T1 just like looks so out of sorts during their playoffs, and not just because they lost to GenG, they also almost lost to KT. Like that 3-2 was like a they should have lost sort of 3-2. So T1 has a chip on the shoulder. They could be angry Faker and friends, but I do think this is a reasonable matchup. It's gonna be
Okay.
3-1 T1 though.
Okay.
All of that to say, like the angle that Mad Lions gets a 3-2 out is if they tilt them. Like if they win game 1 and T1's mental breaks. But like T1 has not really mental broke until like semis usually. So I think that's a little too
They're
big
still
of a
fresh,
stretch.
is what you're saying.
They're
still
too
fresh.
strong, and Guma has never tilted in like the last year and a half of like playoffs. He's almost always been the rock, and that's very important in this meta.
Yep.
I want to predict something that I don't like predicting, and I'm going to go 3-0. I really don't like predicting 3-0s, but I mean, I have 2 words to reason it: support diff.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Hilly Sang is just gonna pick Rel into like the worst matchups possible and just say, I don't give a crap, I'm just picking Rel. So I think Mad Lions is one of those teams, like, God, they're just gonna fight you on everything all the time, no matter what. And they're just gonna pick like 5 skirmishing champions, and they're gonna go for 1v1 outplays over and over again. Like that's literally how they won. They're like a bunch of 3-2 champions or a bunch of 3-2 series all the way up to win their championship regionally. Like it's just Carzzy making a 1v1 play, and it's just like Niski just flash body slamming randomly like 2 people who are grouped together, just like, yeah, YOLO. Hillisang just hiding in bushes and jumping in, inting, or making a huge 5-man play. Like this team is just a coin flip permanently over and over and over again. And honestly, it's not bad. Like T1's top laner, oh my god, what was his name again?
Zeus.
Zeus. That guy is like tilted from last year. Like that guy has not returned to form from seeming like the god of top lane to kind of running it down in finals of worlds last year and just being very inconsistent for the rest of this year. Chasey, on the other hand, if you give him Jace or Gragas, like this guy is actually so cracked. Like he has insane mechanics. He's still obviously like suffering from the like coin flip syndrome that Mad Lions has, but like Mad Lions has really good mechanics. They really do. It's just like the coordination stuff and like the draft stuff that they probably are weaker against T1. So yes, we're all going to be saying 3-0 T1, but I still find it necessary to highlight Mad Lions' strengths that yeah, if T1 gets a little tilted, Mad Lions is untiltable. They will not stop
True.
fighting you and they will not stop trying to kill you no matter how far behind they are. They kind of have that Golden Guardians effect where the game is never quite lost. So, yeah, I think Mad Lions can do something. And I actually favor this more of an upset than G2 versus GenG. I don't think the upset's happening, but I think this is the more likely one. Mad Lions is just too untiltable. G2, you can tilt. Mad Lions, they don't care. They don't care. They literally do not care at all. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll echo the same things you guys said. I just want what I hope though is that I hope Mad Lions just, you know, goes not nuts, but like they just go all in on like whatever their play style is or whatever they want to do, like, and not just try to, you know, do the typical meta stuff. Like come out unique with your own plan, with your own game strat. That's what I want to see. Like, is there proactivity there? And then if they fail, right? But I just want them to, they know they're up against a pretty tough opponent. So why not give it a go and be, instead of just adapting to what we see, like maybe they come out with something like, not exactly like G2, but kind of, right? Come out with something that you maybe think they've scouted and they've studied T1 for sure. I know that, and maybe they have some kind of strategy that will work against them. Maybe catch them surprise and then get that tilt right in game one. I'm just speaking hopium there, but I do think it's going to be T1 favored. But that's what I would like to see from them. So, do we need to talk about C9 versus BLG? Because I think we know who wins that, right? It's Cloud9. Or
Yeah,
do we?
C9's gonna,
Do we
3-0
really?
them,
Just
send
kidding.
BLG to the
Like, do
Shadow
we really
Realm.
need to? Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a given, right? I mean, no. But seriously, let's talk about Cloud9 BLG. We haven't seen Cloud9 in a while, right?
Yep.
They looked good in our finals, right? Some iffy moments, some questionable moments there, but how do you think they fare against BLG?
This is the luckiest draw and it could have gotten for our top seed. I mean, BLG is the quote unquote the shakiest looking one of the four matchups they might have been able to get. So, or not four matchups of the matchups that we see so far. This is probably
Mm-hmm.
the one they wanted to pick, right? If they could pick. That being said, C9's strengths so far have been, Fudge has been good, and I feel like Bin, while he didn't have a great plans, honestly was kind of bad, except for game one. He's probably just warming up. This is kind of what I remember from his Suning run too. Unfortunately for us,
Mm-hmm.
our place where we could pop up as M&S, I think he could just go to the moon and like destroy Yagal if Yagal keeps playing. Like Yagal was the worst player on this team
Yep.
during play-ins, and
Oh
it
yeah.
wasn't like I think he'll warm up kind of bad. I was like, what is he doing? He's just like looked worse than like the R7 mid laner,
Mm-hmm.
whatever his name was. So that's a way we could get an in. The issue is they did look terrifying in bot lane, and like yeah, they lost the game, but did you see the like we'll talk about this in the Golden Guardians run through too, but like there were war crimes being committed down there. Like I haven't seen gaps in bot lane consistently, not just like one game mess up, like multiple games in a row since like Uzi was like at his prime. Like you just don't see those kind of gaps, even between minor region teams as much. Like it's usually like plus or minus 10, 20 CS. It was like full
Yeah.
turret, all plates,
Mm-hmm.
3 kills on the support, 3 kills on the E carry. It was disgusting. So I think that that's a real big problem for C9 because if MNS doesn't pop off, this is his first international competition at the tier one. If MNS doesn't pop off, where are you going to get a large edge from, right? So,
Okay.
I with that being said, I think it will probably be 3-2 and BLG
Cloud9.
wins.
Oh, BLG.
Yeah,
Sorry,
unfortunately.
I voted consistently, like what I believe would happen.
No, you're good. You're
Yep.
good. You're good. I
I
I
like
think I
it.
agree with Kevin. I'm gonna say 3-2 BLG. Though I don't actually think the bot gap is going to be as big. I think it's to be fairly even. I'm a bit more worried about the support matchup and the AD matchup, to be honest.
Hmm.
In Golden Guardian series, the Stixay just was not there. Um, he he couldn't play the game, and he really wasn't playing it very well for what he could have done.
Yeah.
So I would just overall say, like, I think Berserker, we still need to give him his credit. He is still very good. He is still
Yep.
playing like he's trying to be starter for SKT. At least that's how it looks like. He's putting in his work. He's trying, like, he's showing up to do what he needs to do. Um, Elk's obviously very good. And as for the rest of it, I mean, I pretty much agree with what Kevin said. Yagao did not look good. Bin didn't either. But I mean, I have faith that he'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a different worst player for BLG, and that was Jun. He's on the most OP Vi champion with like the easiest setup, and he's freaking running it. He's missing Qs. He's like ulting at awkward timings because he's just like, oh, I missed my Q. I'm in there. Time to ult somebody. YOLO. Like I felt like Jun for BLG was real choking it sometimes, and was one of their big problems in Game 2 against Golden Guardians. Um, so I think that Blabber can really make something happen, right? Like Jun maybe is predictable in what they're going to pick. Like clearly, Golden Guardians was ready to give BLG the Vi and play around that idea. And if BLG takes that bait and keeps doing that, right? The Kindred theoretically is an insane pick into Vi. You just invade her over and over again. You get some prio lanes thrown in there, right? Eminez loves to pick prio mids, LeBlanc, Jace. Fudge, I'm sure, could just pick Cassante or Scion and just sack it and go invade, right? Like this could be a jungle world for Blabber where give him counterpick and give him a draft that he can work with, give him shoving lanes, right? C9 also has the Varus Heimerdinger that they like to play. They like to play the Draven lanes. Like there's a lot of potential like early snowball heavy prio lanes that Blabber can work with to shut down the enemy jungle and just take over the game. And I think that that's like a huge win con for C9 that we haven't seen any other team at MSI do. Like no one's playing hard pushing lanes like that, right? They're going for the Aphelios or Jinx and the Xayah Rakan. Like no one's just saying screw all that scaling stuff. We're just going Varus Heimerdinger. We're gonna shove you in and make your life miserable for the first 15 minutes. So I wonder if we see that pop out. I wonder if we'll see like some like just throw Renekton on Fudge and have him just gank mid over and over again. Like there's a lot of really aggressive things that we saw Cloud9 do in their finals that they could do against BLG that might work. Because I mean, BLG doesn't look that clean, right? Like BLG had an insane early game against Golden Guardians, and they couldn't close out game 2. Like there was a lot of times in the mid game in game 1 versus Golden Guardians where BLG was just tossing out team fights and getting caught over and over again. So BLG, if they like want to beat Cloud9, I think they'll have to ramp up and prove that they're a top LPL team. But like if they like stay kind of the same level as they were against Golden Guardians, I actually expect C9 to take it. Um, but
Oh.
let's be honest, like BLG will improve, right? BLG will take the main stage more seriously. So I unfortunately did predict BLG to win this series. Yeah, I'll go 3-2, whatever. But if BLG does not improve much beyond their Golden Guardian series, C9 should take it for sure. Like the early game from C9 is too strong. The mid game from C9 is also much smarter than Golden Guardians usually is able to provide as well. And that just translates, I think. But yeah, I mean, BLG will probably take main stage more seriously.
It's a reasonable
I mean,
take. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm just absolutely disappointed in each and every one of you.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
no
I know.
one predicting. We don't think with our heads, guys. Come on, we think with our hearts. But I guess that's just me as a ex-TSM fan.
Yeah,
we don't think.
TSM
I beat you to it, Alistair. No, but
Yeah.
look, okay. I'm just gonna. I was already gonna say C9 anyways, just because that's where I'm gonna go. But I like the points you made, Mitchell. I love it, and I'm just gonna add one more caveat and say that, hey, look. C9 got to watch a little bit of BLG. Yes, they may ramp up and, they got some warm-up games, but, and I don't know if BLG really showed anything in their strats as far as what they pulled out, but maybe they did. All I'm saying is that I'm going to take the side that C9 has got a little more information on them, got to see a little more recent play of them. and they're in there cooking. They're cooking something, right? And I'm hoping that they
Hope
come
so.
out the gates firing, right? So I'm gonna say 3-2 the other way. Cloud9.
Let's
Let's go. Let's go.
go.
Come
All
on,
right.
somebody's got to do it. This is an LCS
C9.
podcast. I have to
Yep.
put it out there. So I'm just gonna say C9. Taking it 3-2. That's all I gotta say.
Hell yeah. Take the L for us.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be very transparent too on my pickups. I did put C9 and Golden Guardians both winning. I'm just telling you
Oh,
right
yes.
now. That's
Hell
that's what
yeah.
I did. I sure did.
That's
I
good.
sure did. So,
I
I went
anyways,
for the I went for the underdog run. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
I'm not a full doubter on the LCS.
okay, there
I'm
we
just
go.
going for the
Good, good,
little bit
good.
of an underdog
Okay,
run
well then
here.
let's
Yeah.
go to probably the most underdog of all underdog,
Yeah, this one's rough.
LCS teams. Let's go to
Yay! Yeah, they
Hey,
did.
well,
2 out of
kind of.
5.
There you go. Kind of two
Oh
out of
my
5
God.
CLG. So we got Golden Guardians against JDG. Come on now. Come on. Golden Guardians, underdogs. Let's go.
Easily the most one-sided
Yeah, let's go.
matchup in like the entire
All right,
MSI
Kevin,
that we've
let's-
seen.
Let's start the slow burn here. Go ahead, Kevin. You may start.
All right, all right. First of all, I wanted to give a highlight to what Azale posted on Twitter. He was talking about our play-ins record of LCS, and he was saying basically we've never lost more than 2 games. Like we were 8-2, 8-2, 6-2, 4-1, 6-2, 7-2, 7-0 in our last play-ins since 2017. Okay, so like NA has been really good. Like we never lose to teams worse than us basically ever. It's actually kind of insanity. And so I want to give a lot of credit to Golden Guardians. This is the first roster that's like
That's
not even
right.
our first season where I was like,
Yep.
yeah, I trust that they have a chance. Like they were down 10K gold against BLG, who are way
Yep.
better players on some of those roles. That's more tilt proof than like any NA team internationally has been. And extra props to 6A and Huhi because like they were getting giga bodies. They
Yeah,
were
they
the
were.
recipients of
Yeah,
the
they
biggest
were.
bot lane botting since like season 4, season 5 Uzi beating up European teams. Like it was disgusting. And they came back. That honestly, I can't think of another bot lane duo in NA that could pull that off. Like a lot of those people would just give up. Like after the first game, not even they lost game 1 and then they were untiltable for game 2 after losing the same manner. Like it was a nightmare. Like I think 100% of teams would FF or give up in solo queue if that happened. That being said, it's Ruler.
Yeah.
That being
It's
said,
like Elk is probably one of the best laners out there in terms of like that duo just like has some really good looks in bot lane. But Ruler's even probably more well-rounded everywhere else, even if he's the same or like slightly worse in lane, right? So I am extremely concerned for them. I don't have any hope, honestly, in this matchup. This is going to be a 3-0, and it's going to be sad, but like I'm so glad that Golden Guardian did exactly what I wanted them to. They looked dominant throughout the whole lower bracket, and they beat BLG once. Like
so
that is exactly what I wanted from them, and I'm super happy from them. Like this wasn't like last year where we got our heads bashed in by G2 over and over and over, and it was just depression in play-ins with EG.
Yeah.
I actually like feel really happy about this team, and it's going to be a 3-0 for JDG.
Okay.
They did what they needed to do, man.
Exactly.
I can't expect anything more. And if it happens, I'm happy. But like, there's no way.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I think they should be proud of what they accomplished and don't get too tilted by the clubbing that they're about to receive.
Mhm.
That's pretty much all I have to say about it.
The
It's gonna be a
clubbing,
one-sided beating, and
okay.
they're not the ones with the hammer.
Yeah.
The stream might crash. They might have to censor some stuff. Like it's not
Yeah.
close.
Gotta call in Jensen for a DDoS real quick. Don't watch. Don't watch.
It's gonna be marked
EU soil?
NSFW on the subreddit.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Yeah, JDG is probably looking like the strongest team in the tournament. In Golden Guardians, it's like it's not an insult by any means, like to say that they're probably the worst team in the main stage. Like it's just true. They're
Mhm.
they're just NA from play-ins, like second seed. Like it's just hard life, guys. Like JDG is probably favored to win the entire thing. Um, Ruler is cracked. Knight is cracked, and you know what? They still got 369 and they still got Kanavi, right? Like these guys are super good. And honest, like JDG, what they've always lacked is just consistency in
Mhm.
their mid and ADC, and now they got it. Like they genuinely fixed what they've always been missing in all their previous rosters on JDG. So, I mean, this is my like favorite to win the entire tournament. I think Golden Guardians like if they take a game off, like oh my god, like it's gonna be like yeah, whatever, like yeah, the JDG wasn't trying, but like seriously, like
No,
taking
yeah.
a game off BLG is pretty dope.
Hell
Taking a game
yeah.
off JDG is like actually making a god bleed. Like it would be so hyped to see Golden Guardians do it. So I'm gonna hope for that 3-1, right? Like I'm the one with all the hopium saying 3-1 JDG. So um Golden Guardians is untiltable, right? Golden Guardians did get a lot of practice and warm up, and they can play a good variety of meta. So I think that they can find a game and make JDG try hard and sweat a little bit.
Mm.
Um, that's what we can hope for. Because let's be honest, JDG also should not be sweating at all, right? They're gonna probably just hang out a little bit, right? I think we've seen 369 be said like he's gonna roll some threes probably on a couple of plays, and Licorice is gonna be, just ready to smack him on the Kasance. He's not gonna tilt. So I'm excited for it. We can definitely expect some early shenanigans from River. Like he's just gonna go for the early gank, and someone on JDG is gonna underestimate it and die to that early gank. So I'm hopeful that we can take a game off. I'm hopeful we can have a competitive series, but like this is actually like David versus like seven Goliaths. Like it's kind of sick.
Seven
It's so
Goliaths,
right.
god
Like you
dang.
kill Goliath and it's like that's phase
Woo!
one.
I know.
Yeah,
Oh
it
Yeah.
my
just
god.
it spawns 12 health bars show
Oh
up,
my
Dark Frost,
gosh.
yeah.
Quite an undertaking. So are you saying that are you saying 3-1 where Golden Guardians gets a game?
Yeah, I'm saying
Okay.
Golden
All
Guardians
right.
is gonna get a game because like Golden Guardians is gonna play 100%. JG is
Okay.
gonna throw like an
Yeah.
80% like
Right.
effort in that game,
Mm.
and
Right.
it's gonna tip the scales just enough for that one to come through.
Yeah, I like it, and that's where I'm gonna go as like my hopium. Like I'm not gonna be like the C9 and say they're gonna win. However, to add on to more reasoning is that yeah, like there's no pressure on Golden Guardians. The thing is, I think there was maybe more pressure in the playing stage because if they didn't make plans, that's disappointment, right?
Yeah,
So
embarrassing.
they even though yeah they should be proud of what they did, that was the expectation though, right? Like that was kind of the pressure. So now they did what they did. Nobody's really expecting them to win anything here, right? Now there's no pressure. If they lose, they were supposed to lose. If they win, holy crap, that's a big win for NA. So I add that in the sense that yeah, they're not going to be playing. I don't think they'll be playing tense. And just by getting to see more interviews and stuff, and looking at the player reaction cams, like against BLG, look, they even their comms are like, "We're doing it, guys. Look at us, we're doing it." Like
Is this
they're
happening? Is this
playing,
real life?
they're having fun. Like I guess against that BLG matchup, like they get it. They're the underdogs. They know it.
Yeah.
BLG should, and they have to win. The pressure's on them. So I think they win one because of the reasons you mentioned, but also because they can play loose. They can play for fun. They can try things, and if they like get down, like they've done it before against BLG, and they're having such a good time anyways, I think their mental is in such a good spot. Not only are they not tiltable, but I think they're also having fun. I think they literally are like, guys, we've come farther than we thought we would have gone. Like this is cool. Like let's just keep playing. Let's have fun. And I honestly think that has brought them together as a group. I mean, obviously I'm not in the huddles, but maybe I am. I don't know. I just feel I get that sense that the team chemistry is there, even outside of just the game, because they've accomplished something that nobody really thought they could do. And when you do that, that forms a really good team chemistry. So I think 3-1. I'm sorry, Golden Guardians. I mean, in my pick'ems, I did pick them to win, so I'm not going against it. I did pick them to win, but on this podcast, I'm saying they get one game. Okay, and that's my hopium. But where I put my actual money where my mouth is, well, not really my money, but where I put my real bets in, I did put Golden Guardians because you know what? LCS till I die. Let's go.
All right.
All right. So hey, little YOLO. All right. So those are the matches. Did you guys have any other things that you guys wanted to talk about until our next episode? I think we'll probably get a break after maybe the first round is done and a couple of I think maybe after the first round is done, I think is when our next break will be to record
I have
again.
No idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's like
The
it's like
schedule
every
at all.
day. Like, by the way, guys, that were for those who are listening, this is the one day we're recording this on the Monday where there's no games. It'll probably be out on Tuesday when the game starts. So like we're doing this on very short windows. So whenever the next break is, when our next episode will be. But did you guys have any like final thoughts or anything else you want to talk about this main stage?
Yeah, there were a few production issues with like the overlay and how things worked. I saw it on Reddit as well.
Mm-hmm.
My only question is like, do we really need a Rosha if the quality of the show goes down? I think in my mind, at max, it roams twice. Like once for like a major stage, right? They stay in one spot for a while, and then maybe semifinals and finals somewhere else for like a bigger stadium. That's fine with me. I don't think there's any need for us to like tour every country, especially for Worlds. This one, MSI doesn't tour as much, but like if your quality drops and you can't keep your production consistent and like, okay, I guess the overlays died in LEC anyway, so maybe it's just a Europe problem. But my point is like maybe we should start looking to condense the show. It also saves some money. So like honestly, like why is production still an issue after a decade of this?
I actually really like that point, and it's something that's just also really hard on the players, right? Like, I know for
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Worlds, especially, like traveling to a new venue, like not just a new venue, like a new like country sometimes and a new state, it's a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of relocating. It's stressful for the people and the players. Um, like, it's just I don't know. Maybe it's not that necessary. Maybe like you move one time to a new finals location, but otherwise stay in one spot, right? Like I get the world tour so you can attract as many people as you want,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
like you have people coming in from all over the place for the first venue anyways, right?
Yeah.
So if you keep it there, and sometimes people can stay and watch like multiple days of that venue and just hang out there for a while. And honestly, if we think about ticketing situations, right? Does it really matter like where the location is? Because the people who live in that location don't even buy the tickets because they just get bought by bots and then get scalped for $1 billion. So at the end of the day, the people who are buying tickets are just the people who are rich from across the world, anyways. So I am down for just to stay in one location, save on production issues, no production problems, better for the mental health of players. I mean, freaking last year, like we got players just getting sick mid tournament because they're moving around so much. So I would love that suggestion, that idea. Just travel a little less and just
Yeah.
chill out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree with you guys. I'm gonna push back just a little bit because I think that the travel, um, and all of that stuff, like when you throw in those variables, I actually like it because
Mm,
it's something else that you have to throw in as a player. Like, and I'll just say that, look, I'm all for keeping the players safe. All of that. We don't want, especially COVID. I know traveling is very tricky and all that stuff. And I agree. Maybe there's a compromise somewhere in the middle there. But what I like is that, yeah, you have to factor in, you know, travel time. You have to factor in rest time. Jet lag. Even like some regions like LEC, they were playing on a meta wave behind. Right. They have to adjust to that. Right. Part of me that likes that because it throws in like just some curveballs into teams. Like how do you adjust to this? How did you plan around this? Because again, like when I think of other sports, they got to travel, right? That's just part of it. They have road trips. It's not ideal, and sometimes they lose on the road, not necessarily because that team was better overall, but maybe the traveling was tiring or they didn't get enough rest, right? And so you kind of have to circumvent that. And they don't travel all the time. And so when we have these international events, I'm kind of hyped for it, and I think it's okay. But again, I think there should be some kind of compromise because for the reasons you mentioned, yeah, I agree. They shouldn't. Production should be great. You don't want to put players at risk, but I do think having
Yeah.
an element of some kind of variable of you need to adjust. This is not your normal at home local tournament, right? This is a traveling international tournament. There's going to be variables, unfamiliar stage, unfamiliar, travel times, and how do we adjust? So again, that's just my kind of reasoning for the other sides.
I think that's fair when like you consider sometimes like you don't want the team where it's like their home region to like
Mm-hmm.
get to play in their most comfortable environment, like play in their normal studio all the time. Like
Right.
that is like a real advantage. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely change that up for sure. But also I think it's like it's tough to also want this because there are some teams in some regions that are like just completely disparaged when it comes to like the amount of money that they have.
Yeah.
So like for a minor region that ever makes it past playing stage to main stage or something like that, right? They have a fraction of the money like the other
Yeah.
major regions teams
Yeah.
do. So their traveling budget and their traveling expenses and just their experience in traveling is like just hindered. So like they're just on the back foot before they even got to the main stage sometimes. So I think in a world where all teams were like made equal in that like in terms of like their what how much money they have, how much experience they have traveling and stuff, it would be nice to see because then it's all on the players to adapt and learn.
Well, I
But
could be wrong, but
yeah,
I think Riot pays for their travel.
okay,
They do.
Because what I heard is that like once you get eliminated, they're like they ship you right out. So it's like you don't get to stay and watch other games. Like as soon as you lose, Like you don't even stay till the next day. You're like packing up and they go because it's on Riot's dime. So that's what I heard, and so that's why I wanted.
I can vouch for that.
Okay,
That is the
yeah.
case.
Okay, so Riot pays for some stuff, so then it's just really the experience part that
Yeah.
plays an aspect. Like, because I remember, remember when TSM went 0-6, guys?
Oh yeah, I know.
At Worlds 2022 or Worlds 2020, sorry.
Yeah.
Doublelift, like later on, he went and said like, yeah, one of the things that we just like totally screwed our mental was it was COVID. We were on like 24-hour lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Bjergsen got sick immediately. Like he just got sick and he was just feeling like crap the whole time. And they were just isolated in their rooms
Yep.
and could not leave. And they couldn't interact with other humans. And they were just scrimming in like their one little hotel room. They couldn't talk with each other in person for the entire tournament. And they got super depressed. And
Yeah.
I think they were in I don't know what country they're in, right? But I think they're in China, maybe. Yeah, and in China, all the Chinese players, they just got to be in their normal environments, so they got to actually hang out with each other
It's
because they're all
true. Yeah.
regularly tested, and they don't have to worry about these COVID restrictions because they're just at home.
Yeah.
And like that kind of stuff is like,
Yeah.
that's just a huge disadvantage. Like
It is.
shit happens. So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm just maybe like super player focused on like
Yeah, I don't
making
care
it
about the
most comfortable
players.
with them.
Screw
Yeah.
them. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Oh, we know you were a TSM fan.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
Sorry, Alistair.
sheesh.
Oh, sheesh. I just hope TSM doesn't disappear, man. I'm still kind of worried about that. Anywho, that's a topic for another day.
Oh, that's a rabbit hole. Let's not go
That's
there.
a rabbit hole. Let's not go that rabbit hole.
MSI? Oh,
Yeah,
sick.
MSI.
Still going?
MSI.
Okay,
yeah,
cool,
that's good.
cool. Yeah.
Any other final thoughts? I think that's a good point, Kevin. Anything else? All right, cool. All right, well, that's going to do it then for us. Thanks again to Kevin, Mitchell, Alistair for sharing their wise thoughts. I can't wait till this starts. It's going to be exciting. And so until next time, enjoy your climb on the Rift. Try not to be too toxic, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Golden
Peace.
Guardians is winning!
Let's go! Hey!